All right, we should be live. We should be good to go. Had an issue starting up the first stream right there. Let me just quickly add the thumbnail, but we have some headline news while I'm doing that. Apparently a second Iranian missile has entered Turkish airspace and was intercepted by NATO. So that is going to be the headline news of today so far. Pretty crazy stuff. It looks like, once again, Iran is just trying to hit everybody and anybody to cause disruption of the highest degree. And then on top of that, they're trying to essentially put the blame on the US here, which isn't working at all. And all of Iran's neighbors are now against them. But once again, the headline news right now, a second Iranian missile. NATO has intercepted a second Iranian missile in Turkish airspace. Coming from Euronews. The second time in less than a week. So, last Wednesday they intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile in Turkish airspace, and now we have a second one right here. What's up, Alan? How's it going? We also have let's do this one first. We have Beirut.
We're hearing on good authority that Hezbollah positions in Beirut are expected tonight in the Middle East to face strikes on a scale never before seen. And we actually have one literally right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't, I'm sorry. Right as I'm reading that Hezbollah is going to get blown the hell out tonight. Hezbollah, literally one happens right there the second I flip the camera away. So anyway, the point is, the Israeli Air Force is going to be hitting Hezbollah harder than they have ever been hit before. We're starting today's show off in a pretty crazy way, and I can tell you.
So that was about, what was that, like 45 minutes ago? And previous to that, there were two more strikes in Beirut.
Power and experience on full display in the Middle East. The U.S. military's Operation Epic Fury pushing forward in Iran. Central Command announcing U.S. forces hit more than 3,000 targets in the first full week. Israel is now unleashing a new round of attacks on targets inside Iran and Lebanon. The Israeli Defense Force focusing on the infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. CENTCOM posted this video of the U.S. Air Force at work. The caption, the sound of American warfighting dominance. New satellite images from Iran showing heavy damage from U.S. and Israeli aerial attacks. And Iran's fighting capabilities under heavy fire now. Black smoke rising from burning ships and damaged facilities at a naval base in the southern part of the country. And the U.S. and Israel also taking out Iranian warplanes at an air base in that same area. Look at what's left, scorched earth and debris. All that's left of the bombed aircraft. General Jack Keane.
It's quite remarkable how close to the plan that we are executing, with stunning results, to be quite frank about it. The Israelis are hitting all of those other targets I mentioned with the U.S. But what the Israelis are doing exclusively is attacking the organization. All the organizations that sustain this regime, Mark, they are systematically and deliberately taken down here.
An entire street erupted as buildings in the capital city of Tehran were attacked by Israel. The IDF going after several oil depots over the weekend. Meanwhile, Iranian leaders have named Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of Iran's late supreme leader, as the successor. And you see the younger Khamenei is even more of a hardliner than his brutal father. Fox News correspondents are covering the story from every angle, multiple locations: London, Istanbul, Turkey, Israel, Armenia, and Dubai. We are bringing you the very latest developments as this conflict unfolds minute by minute. Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb will come up with me in focus in just a bit. Chief National Correspondent Jennifer Griffin with new information out of CENTCOM right now. But first, let's go to Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst. Okay, he's inside a safety area. We'll talk with you for just a bit, as long as you can, Trey.
Harris, I've got you. Yeah, Harris, I've got you. We had a report prepared for you on Iran's new supreme leader. Suddenly, sirens just sounded across Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv. This was some of the heaviest incoming fire that we have seen in recent days. And just given the fact that there was no early alert is an indication that this fire, and my producer just now is telling me, came from Lebanon. So Hezbollah launching at least one missile at Tel Aviv. And again, they still have these long-range capabilities. We're going to get you this video we were rolling as this attack was taking place. And we could just see about 5 or 6 different interceptor rounds, Harris, soar through the air to try to take down this incoming fire that was coming directly from southern Lebanon. Again, just an indication of the threats that this country faces, and as they are looking to see what comes next on the ground in Iran, following the news overnight that a new supreme leader was chosen, Mustafa Khamenei, the son of Iran's former supreme leader who was killed in the opening strikes of Operation Epic Fury. Harris?
Yeah, you know what? I've been reading about him, and I know that this is an odd detail, but someone alerted me to the fact that it was so entrenched that he's the new leader that Wikipedia updated their page. And when I went there, I realized there was this warning, well, more like an informational graph, saying that this could change due to an event. I would assume that's the war on Iran right now. But what do we know about this younger son? And I know his family was hit in some of the strikes that we put on their military leaders, us and Iran. I mean, us and Israel.
Yeah, Harris, absolutely. Reports indicate that his wife and his mother and one son were killed, in addition to his father, in the U.S. and Israeli strikes that targeted the capital of Tehran. Mustafa Khamenei is considered a hardliner. He was largely seen as the shadow prince of Iran. He was the gatekeeper for his father. He studied at Qom Seminary just south of Tehran, where many of the Shia clerics are studying in order to become leaders inside of Iran. And given the fact that he was closely following in the footsteps of his father, he was actually one of the leading forces behind the scenes, according to reports that led the crackdown on protesters inside of Iran, not just earlier this year, but also during the Green Movement protests in 2009. And so that is part of the reason that President Trump said he would not be happy if he's chosen as the next supreme leader. And again, he is considered just the next step in succession to his father, who obviously for the past several decades has been building up a regime that has threatened U.S. forces and allies across the region.
What do we know? And I know you gave us a little bit there. So the IRGC and part of the military and all of that. But what do we know about his acumen in that area? I mean, is that why we're seeing a ramp up yet almost like a second try at all this, even though we've killed their Navy capacity, so they don't have that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the American and Israeli strikes against the Iranian regime have decimated the military structure of this country so far. They have systematically taken out their communication and command systems that allow officials in Tehran to communicate with their military in the field. And so they built their military around this, planning for this mosaic defense. But the reality is, as these strikes continue, we can expect more of Iran's leadership to be taken out. And it makes it very challenging for Iran to fight for long periods of time. They say that they are prepared for a months-long war. The reality will be quite different, despite the fact that there is still incoming fire from Iran itself, the ballistic missiles that soar through the skies of this country. Earlier today, one person was killed in central Israel, and the fire that we just saw now from Hezbollah. It is a military that will continue to be depleted in the days ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the son. I mean, is he in command and control of this right now? Does he even have that kind of experience? Because what you're saying is if they continue to take out particularly military leadership, who will be left to make these decisions and use all that warfare? Any quick thought on that?
My quick thought is we don't know. We have very limited information out of Iran, and as it relates to the new supreme leader, all of this information is coming from...
I can give you a quick thought on that. If they keep fucking around, they're going to keep finding out. and there's been a lot of finding out so far. Anyway, we have the House of Commons right now. We are about to head into question period. At the beginning of every question period, there's roughly 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes of statements by members. I typically skip over that because I call it virtue signaling by members. We're going to go into what is the headline news right now.
But first, Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin. She's in D.C. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Dana. A seventh U.S. service member died from wounds he received during an Iranian attack targeting Saudi Arabia. The service member was in the process of being transferred to Landstuhl, Germany for further care when he succumbed to his catastrophic injuries. Fox News has learned there have been 8 very seriously wounded U.S. service members, all of them killed and injured during the first wave of Iranian strikes on the first weekend of the operation. Some are still fighting for their lives. Over the weekend, black oil rained over the capital, Tehran, after Israel struck 30 fuel depots in and around the capital. The flames spread through the sewers and down the streets of Tehran, leaving the capital surrounded by apocalyptic scenes of fire and blackened skies. Fox has learned the U.S. was caught off guard by the scale of the Israeli strikes, which hit 30 fuel depots and left terrified Iranian civilians trapped in their homes. Separately, CENTCOM issued a warning to Iranians to stay home and away from crowded areas like markets or funerals because the IRGC is placing mobile missile launchers and one-way attack drones amidst the crowds, knowing the U.S. is likely to strike back, causing civilian deaths. Quote, this dangerous decision risks the lives of all civilians in Iran since locations used for military purposes lose protected status and could become legitimate military targets under international law. Earlier today, a second Iranian ballistic missile was intercepted over Turkey, where the U.S. has a key base at Incirlik. Amidst reports, the Russians are providing targeting intelligence to Iran.
Are you receiving any help from Russia?
Well, we have a strategic partnership with Russia.
So that's a yes?
And, well, a military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not something new. It's not a secret. It has been in the past and it's still there and will continue in the future.
President Zelensky of Ukraine says a team of Ukrainian counter-drone experts will travel to the Middle East this week to help advise Gulf states and Jordan how to defend against Iran's Shahid drones, which Russia has used to target Ukraine almost every night for the past 4 years. Dana?
Jennifer, thank you.
And Steve Harrigan is joining us live from the Armenia-Iran border as the regime has now chosen a new supreme leader. Steve, good morning to you. That's quite the backdrop behind you there.
Okay, so this is some crazy footage. Hold on.
There's more I want to talk about here with you. Earlier, the U.S. Navy destroyed the Iris Shahid Soleimani, a Soleimani-class corvette of the IRGC Navy, off the coast of Bandar. Okay, so we're still blowing up Iranian naval assets. We didn't kill them all yet. We didn't blow them all up yet. Maybe now we're getting closer. This is an Iranian gunship, ladies and gentlemen, that we just blew up a couple hours ago. Wow, holy hell. And there's a tanker right out there next to it. Holy hell. Now, can I show you what this vessel looked like prior to getting blown up? The Iris Shahid Soleimani is what this is called. And so, prior to getting blown up by the U.S. Navy just a couple of hours ago, this is what that would have looked like. And now it is, and now it is gone. And now it's been blown up. Now, folks, we have just update after update coming out here. So, folks, bear with me, because there is a lot going on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick, if you would do me a favor on X, left behind after another recent Israeli Air Force bombing run against Hezbollah targets. I think Beirut is going to be really, for lack of a better phrase, popping off tonight.
We have 3 hours ago from the New York Post, a B-52 bomber landing at a UK airbase.
Tracksuits out. Nice. Yeah. Seriously.
Look at the fucking size of that thing. Holy shit.
Yeah. Seriously. Well, I went to the petrol station earlier, and it was 138. Okay. No.
So just an FYI for those who don't know, these bomber planes are made to drop the big payloads, and I mean the country-ending kind of payloads. So, not entirely sure why that's flying to the UK. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on
For
that.
sleeper assets outside of the country, according to a federal government alert sent to law enforcement agencies across the country. Okay, folks, if you are in America, Europe, I'm sure Europe as well, but probably namely America here, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Personally, and I can't tell you how to live your life, I'm not going to be going to any big shopping malls, sporting events, any big social get-togethers, massive gatherings, whatever. Now I think is the time to stay a little bit safe. If we're having warnings like this, the U.S. has intercepted and encrypted communication. We have another report here. Look at this one. ABC News is reporting that U.S. officials have intercepted and encrypted communication believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as, quote, an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country based on preliminary signal analysis, according to a federal alert sent to law enforcement agencies across the country. Remember that time for 4 years between January of 2021 and January of 2025 where we had 25 million unvetted invaders, illegal aliens from God knows where, from everywhere, from every third world hellhole across this planet come flooding into this country? And they said, oh, it's not a big problem. Don't worry about it. This is a problem. This is a big problem. We've got 25 million of these people, maybe more, that are in the country. Who knows where in the hell they came from? This whole open border fiasco that the Democrats caused, 4 years long, national security crisis. Thank God Trump's in the White House and we're getting rid of these people finally. I wish we'd get rid of them a little bit faster, but we're getting rid of them nonetheless. National security crisis, and now we're starting to see it. We hope, we pray that nothing bad happens here. We pray to God. I saw there's a Republican House representative, goes by the name of Andy Ogles. Andy Ogles, have you seen him? He issued a statement today. He said, Muslims do not belong in the United States of America. That's a Republican House representative. Andy Ogles. He said today, Muslims do not belong in the United States of America. Let me ask you a question. Type a number 1 in the live chat if you personally agree with that. I'm not going to tell you how to think or what to say. If you agree with that, with Andy Ogles there, type a 1 in the live chat. In the meantime, I have a couple super chats I need to get caught up on because I'm falling behind. We have a super chat here from the Gaming Murph. He says, I find it very interesting that NATO will shoot down Iranian missiles in space that are heading towards NATO territory, but won't shoot down Russian drones over European cities. Yeah, it may be a little bit different situation, but yeah,
there's still a minority of people who have access to Starlink devices and things like that. They are the ones who are sending us the information and the videos. The rest of the population still don't. But at least this is something that is happening. As I said, the French and President Macron has now confirmed that the mission that is going to be led by the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier is going to be fighting the IRGC as a defensive strategy in order to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Firstly, the aircraft carrier is going to be there's going to be support around Cyprus anyway, because Cyprus is getting attacked as usual. But more of them are now going to be sent to the Strait of Hormuz because the operation there is extremely crucial, as I said, when it comes to the global economy and everything that's happening when it comes to commerce and the movement of the vessels. So this is what the French are now going to be doing with the support of the Netherlands. But around that part of the Middle East right now, again, if you go back to another footage we have from near Bandar Abbas, the main port, you can see the scenes. Do we have the footage? Yeah, we have. Let's quickly go back. There's a lot happening there today. And by the way, meanwhile, the British government finally confirmed after days of flip-flopping, because obviously Britain initially said we will send support, and then they said, oh, our aircraft carrier is, well, the HMS Dragon actually, is, needs repair. Okay, well, we might send other...
So the reports right now are supposedly France is going to help escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz, which is what he's sort of talking about right here. And all I can think of, Iran striking one of their ships, and then it's gonna fucking escalate even further. Macron wants escorts for container ships and tankers in the Strait of Hormuz ASAP. So I don't know if he plans on doing that. I highly doubt it. Trump has already sent carriers out there to deal with that. So whether or not they're already there sinking ships, that's the information we're getting. But if they're at the actual strait, I don't know. Don't have that information.
Uzbekistan, Pakistan, you got all the stands.
Anyway, let's head over to
York Center.
The House of Commons.
Speaker, last week, 3 different synagogues were shot at in the Toronto area. There was always conflict abroad, but it never spilled onto Canada's streets like under this Liberal government. The Liberals politicize the Middle East. Add to that their soft on crime agenda, and it's no longer safe for Canada's Jewish community. Please save the tweets and the empty platitudes, or Bill C-9, which will do nothing for the Jewish community. Deal with the terrorists in our streets and enforce existing laws. Now an Iranian activist is missing and police fear that he is murdered. Hundreds of IRGC agents safely reside in Canada. That's because Liberal immigration minister after Liberal immigration minister failed to protect our borders. Because Liberal public safety minister after Liberal public safety minister failed to deport them. When will this Liberal government start protecting Canadians and finally deport those that are connected to the Iranian regime?
Hear, hear.
Cheers to that.
The honourable member for Thunder Bay Rainy River.
Probably never, though, sadly.
I rise to pay tribute to a cornerstone of the Thunder Bay community, a great Canadian and a friend, Stephen Wright. Stephen used to say that his hobby was people, and he led his life that way. It was all about service to the community. He worked with Hockey Canada. He created Pro Kids to support underprivileged kids participating in sports, and led no less than 5 winning political campaigns. Stephen was a tireless advocate for healthcare in Northwestern Ontario. He was chairman of the board of Thunder Bay Regional and helped to bring it both a medical school and a cardiac care unit. To every endeavor, Stephen brought his characteristic wisdom, patience, compassion, and sense of humor. Stephen represented the very best of Canada. His impact on Thunder Bay and those who knew him will be felt for many years to come. Stephen, thanks for all you did. We miss you.
The honourable member for Battleford's Lloydminster Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, with rising oil prices, Canada should be well positioned to supply energy to ourselves and our allies. But a decade of Liberal policies has chased away investment and production. Despite the rhetoric, the Prime Minister has not approved a single new pipeline to Tidewater, and his major projects office has not approved a single project. Now, another $8 billion project was put on hold, citing the Liberal industrial carbon tax and regulatory barriers. Canadian consumers used to have some protection when oil prices went up because our dollar did too. But today, we produce less oil, and that protection is gone. Canada has the resources to supply our allies and strengthen our economy. Why won't the Prime Minister get out of the way so we can fuel our allies and power paychecks at home?
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Mr. Speaker, we've just celebrated International Women's Day. And let us take a moment to recognize how far we've come. The progress that we celebrate today was never inevitable. That progress exists because generation after generation, women have had the courage to challenge that which seemed unchangeable. But this day isn't just a time to look back. It also invites us to look at the world as it is today. And the current context calls for clarity. In many parts of the world, conflicts and crises are hitting women and children very hard. And even in our own societies, certain realities remind us that the road to true equality still has to be built. The rights of women are never definitively acquired. They live, they advance, or they regress depending on the choices that we make as a society. Because ultimately, equality is not built solely through major advances. It's built every time that we choose not to back down.
The honourable member for Regina Luban.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that are imposing on Canadians here at home an affordability crisis. Right now, we have the worst food inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. The Liberal Prime Minister is going ahead with his newly renamed carbon tax, the Clean Fuel Standard. This policy now costs 7 cents a litre, but will rise to 17 cents a litre. This makes everything more expensive for our farmers, fishermen, and those who deliver food to our tables. The industrial carbon tax, which the Liberal Prime Minister will continue to increase, only makes steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment more expensive as well. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and remove their out-of-touch policies that will make life more affordable for all Canadians?
The honourable member for Brossard-Saint-Lambert.
Monsieur le Président. Mr. Speaker, in these times of great geopolitical turbulence, I'm particularly committed to celebrating a multilateral association in which I place a great deal of hope.
Today, around the world, 56 countries are celebrating Commonwealth Day, an occasion to remind us of the commitments we've made to democracy, peace and sustainable development. As chair of the federal branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, I am delighted to invite all members to a reception being held at 6 p.m. today at the Speaker's dining room. I also want to express Canada's delegation's delight when MPP Catherine Fife, a remarkable parliamentarian from Waterloo, Ontario, was elected as chair of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians in October 2025 in Barbados after earning the support and admiration of a very demanding electorate. Catherine's unapologetic certainty that women are part of the solution and one can insert all manner of challenges here makes her a formidable voice in the Commonwealth family.
You go look at his Twitter page. Mark Mitchell, he's not happy about this. He thinks this is a bad idea. So I'm telling you, Rasmussen, they're not spreading pro-Trump, pro-war propaganda here. They're not happy about this. Mark Mitchell's not, at least.
Are we finally done with statements by members? Finally.
We cannot control what
Pierre is not even
The
here.
Liberals do control the policies that they are imposing that make life more expensive, like the Liberal fuel standard. This is effectively another kind of carbon tax, which adds 7 cents a litre and will rise to 17 cents a litre, meaning more costs for drivers, farmers, fishermen, and those who transport us our food. The Liberal Prime Minister is also hiking the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad, and paid for by Canadians. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and cancel their policies that make life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Jobs, the Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is an energy superpower, and last year Canadian oil production reached a record high. No one can predict the future of energy markets, but our allies are looking for stable, reliable energy supplies in an increasingly uncertain world. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Sunrise expansion. That's why the TMX optimization is moving forward. Mr. Speaker, we are helping solve the world's affordability problem.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Well, let's look at the facts. Among the G7, under this Liberal Prime Minister, Canada now has the worst food price inflation and the only economy that's shrinking. All of this has gotten worse since he became Prime Minister. Instead of helping lower prices by cancelling Liberal taxes, he's driving them even higher. When companies who process, transport, store, or sell food pay more, who does he think all those costs get passed on to? We cannot control what happens in other countries, but we can absolutely control whether or not to drive prices higher with tax increases. Why not at least give Canadians a break from Liberal taxes and cancel the fuel standard tax and the industrial carbon tax?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's Monday. It seems that my colleague was missing in action. Mr. Speaker, in fact, we're taking back control. The first thing we did was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That is the very first thing we did. And just to correct the record, Mr. Speaker, Canada is projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, Mr. Speaker. And this morning, Mr. Speaker, we had the G7 Finance Minister call. We're coordinating our action. We're going to take action together to make sure that we can bring energy to the world, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
Meanwhile, here at home, Canadian families, seniors and businesses are still dealing with ideologically flawed economic policies, regulation and legislation that has seen the cost of everything, including food prices in Canada, rise 7.3% in January alone. Taxes imposed on our farmers, fishers, and those who transport our food, as well as the industrial carbon tax, which this Liberal Prime Minister keeps in place, have raised prices on everything made with steel, aluminum, and plastic. Why can't the Liberal Prime Minister do the right thing and remove these failed policies that have caused unnecessary hardship and make life more expensive for our people and our businesses?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, when my colleague talks about ideological programs, I surely hope he's not talking about the National Child Care Plan, which has actually reduced costs for Ontario families by $16,000 per child per year here in Ontario. Mr. Speaker, I sure hope he's not talking about a school nutrition program, which families, experts, educators have all sung the praises of for ensuring kids get good food. I sure hope he's not talking about the dental care plan, which is helping low-income Canadians get their teeth fixed. I don't know what he means when he says ideological.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
What I am talking about, Mr. Speaker, is our businesses and our people dealing with self-inflicted wounds, because they are. By failing to eliminate these ideological taxes causing cascading affordability impacts to the ideological, almost hate-driven attacks on our wealth-creating natural resource sector, every problem we have started here at home in 2015 and continues today under this Liberal Prime Minister. Our nation has the worst food inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and caused by removing policies that have made life more expensive for our people and businesses?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, let me correct the record again. I know my colleagues like to say things in this, but you have to be credible. Canada will have the second fastest growth in the G7. That's what's reported by international agencies, Mr. Speaker. But what you're talking to Canadians, because it's it's Monday, Mr. Speaker, they should talk about the good news for Canadians. The good news is called the Canada Grocery and Essential Benefit, Mr. Speaker, because on this side of the House, we understand that we need to help people now, and it's really interesting to see the Conservative criticizing because they have voted against every program, Mr. Speaker, whether it's about farmer...
The Honourable Member for Richmond Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is Monday, and once again we get to hear the Minister of Finance's cassette tape there. Last night, Mr. Speaker, I was at the grocery store. The costs of groceries is constantly rising. Eating should not be a privilege. So many Canadians do not have access to this privilege. The cost of food has skyrocketed. If you go to the grocery store and you see a family with 2 boxes of ramen noodles in their grocery carts, it's just wrong. We have the worst food inflation in the G7. The government must take action. When will it eliminate the fuel tax? The Honourable Minister of Finance. I know my colleague likes repeating things. Perhaps he can repeat this to all his fellow citizens. The Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. That helps 12 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That's something he can repeat everywhere he goes in his riding. If he wants to repeat a tape, then he should certainly use that tape because that will help Canadians further, Mr. Speaker. When we spoke to the UPA, they said take structural measures, and that's exactly what we did. $500 million fund to be managed by my colleague to increase resilience and food security in this country. That's what taking action means. The Honourable Member for Richmond Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, let's talk about action. Canada cannot control what the presidents in other countries do, but we can control our destiny. We have energy. Let's develop it. We have critical minerals. Let's access them quickly. We have a housing problem. Let's build houses. We have a food cost problem. Let's eliminate the industrial carbon tax. These are costs we have here at home, not abroad. I invite the Liberal government to use our solutions and implement them. We want to give Canadians some breathing room. When will the Liberal government finally take action? The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Here we go. Some lies from Melanie.
Mr. Speaker, I'm listening to my colleague. I think he must have read our game plan, except towards the very end. He's basically repeated what we've been saying daily. So there's still room on this side of the House if my colleague wants to join us. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, let's get back to the Curam software. 85,000 retirees are having problems accessing their pensions. $5 million in cost overruns, all of which could have been avoided had the Liberals.
They had an entire week to come up with something new.
In 2006 in Australia, in 2012, North Carolina, Minnesota 2013, Ontario 2014, Maryland 2019, 20 years now. Curam has been malfunctioning and costing more than expected. How did the Liberals not fix the bugs before launching Curam? The Honourable Member.
The program that the member opposite is talking about, Curam, is used by 20 countries around the world. This is a wild goose chase, and she knows it. 7.7 million Canadians have been successfully transferred to this system. In fact, we are working through the backlog. These are complicated cases, often paper applications. There is a hotline for urgent cases. Urgent cases are getting dealt with within 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect responsible, reliable delivery of benefits, and that's what this modernization provides.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals could have avoided the Curam fiasco by studying its failures around the world because it's been going on for 20 years. They could have also listened to the Auditor General, who noted an explosion in costs as early as 2023. In fact, they could have also listened to the Public Accounts Committee, which had been looking into this since 2023. Notably, Nathalie Sinclair-Desgagnés, the former and soon-to-be member of Parliament for Terrebonne. But the Liberals listened to no one, and now they are embroiled in another IT fiasco. When will there be a public and independent inquiry? The Honourable
That 7.7 million seniors are getting reliable, modern delivery of benefits and say that this is a disaster. I'm not sure what the member opposite is talking about. She'd have us go back to a system that's 60 years old, Mr. Speaker, paper-based, hackable, Mr. Speaker. It would fail, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the Auditor General said that the old system was so frail that Canadians couldn't count on it. Is that what she wants to keep delivering for Canadians? We're about moving forward with the future, and Canadians expect benefit delivery that's reliable and safe.
The honourable member for l'Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals say that Curam is a success story, they forget to tell us that it's a global success story. La Presse reveals that 5 other states that have implemented Curam have faced the same problems and cost overruns. This has been going on since 2006 in Australia. That's 20 years. And yet the Liberals have learned nothing from this. The result is 85,000 seniors that are victims, and it is costing us $55 billion in cost overrun. And in the Public Account Committee, the Liberals are filibustering to prevent us from shedding light on this. When will there be an independent public inquiry?
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague for the question, but they're conflating things. It doesn't make much sense. They should listen to a technical briefing so that they fully understand what this is about. The Bloc Québécois is referring to the Auditor General. In 2014, the Auditor General raised the alarm saying, deal with this having this 60-year-old system is going to be a failure. You need to modernize, and that's exactly what we did. 7.7 million seniors receive their payments in a reliable way, in a safe way, and that's our commitment to seniors in our country.
Market Aurora.
Canada has the worst food inflation and the only shrinking economy in the G7, and no wonder. The Liberals' increase in fuel standard is already costing Canadians 7 cents per litre today, and it will rise to 17 cents per litre by 2030, hitting the farmers, fishermen, and the truckers who put food on our tables. And these costs are entirely made in Ottawa by this Liberal government. If the Prime Minister is so focused on what we can control, then why doesn't he stop pointing fingers and scrap the taxes that are making life so unaffordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, I know it's Monday, Mr. Speaker, and on Monday we expect good news. But, Mr. Speaker, what I think we should tell Canadians is actually what this government has been doing in order to make life affordable and this economy competitive. Mr. Speaker, this government has presented one of the most ambitious budget in our history, Mr. Speaker. Generational investment in infrastructure, generational investment in housing, generational investment in productivity and competitiveness, generational investment in our defense. Mr. Speaker, instead of talking the Canadian economy down, they should celebrate our worker, celebrate our Canadian industry, and celebrate our country.
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
Speaker, the Finance Minister should know better. Those huge deficits, generational deficits, are what's driving inflation up in this country. And now going back to the cost of food, which was my initial question, they have also failed to drive competition. Instead of keeping these countless taxes on the building blocks of our food supply, they should address them. And the reality is, Mr. Speaker, Canada is falling behind, not because of global forces, but because of their choices. Will the Prime Minister finally take responsibility and remove these policies that are driving up the cost of food for every Canadian?
Honorable Ministre des Finances.
Minister.
Speaker, on this side of the aisle, we will take responsibility for building the strongest economy of the G7. That I can tell, Mr. Speaker, we'll do that. And we'll do that with Canadian workers. We'll do that with Canadian industry. We'll do that with our partners around the world, Mr. Speaker. We just come from a mission in India and in Australia. I can tell you the world wants what Canada has to offer. We have highly skilled workers. We have strong industries, Mr. Speaker. We build boats, we build cars, we build ships. We have critical minerals, we have energy in abundance, and we are the only G7 country with a free trade with all G7 nations. Mr. Speaker, we believe in Canada on this side of the aisle.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Speaker, Liberals like to blame global pressures, but the policies driving up the cost of living in Canada are made right here in Ottawa. Canada now has the worst food price inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. In Newfoundland and Labrador, nearly all groceries arrive by truck or ferry, yet the Prime Minister is pushing ahead with the newly renamed carbon tax, the clean fuel standard, which adds 7 cents a litre, climbing to 17. That will drive up the cost of transporting food right to the grocery shelf. When will the Liberals take responsibility for their policies and stop making life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Speaker, I'm going to follow from my colleague next to me and talk about good news on a Monday. Bay du Nord project.
Yeah.
An example in Newfoundland and Labrador of getting workers on the job in our province, building our economy, building our infrastructure. This is a good news project. And I invite my colleague in the opposition from Newfoundland and Labrador to get on board.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, that's a complete deflection, but if that minister wants to talk about Bay du Nord, she knows it was the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador who fought to see that project move ahead. This government spent years creating barriers, and now that minister is trying to take credit. But that does not answer the question about the cost they are imposing today. Someone recently called my office and said he's been heating his room with his oven because he can't afford to put oil in his tank. When will they take responsibility for the policies they are imposing that is making life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
To know who made that project possible. And then I'm going to say to her that I will never politicize the challenges that people have in our province and in this.
Man, Tim Hodgson has a fuck ton of energy today, and I don't know why. He's just been yapping the entire time. He's still yapping.
Seniors. I invite this member, and I'm happy to bring her to speed on the programs that exist, but don't politicize what is so important to people's lives.
The Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton-Bickedronong.
Mr. Speaker, we can't control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that they are imposing that make life more expensive for Canadians. Today we have the worst price inflation and the only shrinking economy in the G7. Policies like the fuel standard that adds 7 cents a litre, rising to 17 cents, will apply to those who bring us our food, while the industrial carbon tax raises the price on steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and remove their policies that make life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While the opposition talks the economy down, we are building it up. We have a plan to make life more affordable. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We eliminated the consumer carbon tax. We cut the GST for first-time home buyers. We also have the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, which will add about $1,890 to an average family of 4 this year. Instead of talking the economy down, which is all they do, why don't they join us and build this country up?
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent à Cowenrac. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, former Mayor of Laval, Vaillancourt, was found guilty of stealing $7 million from Laval residents. Since then, the money's been recovered, returned to the city, and guess what? This Liberal government is asking the city of Laval to write Mr. Vaillancourt a check for $1 million. Not only have the people in Laval been subject to this once, but now that this money is coming out of their pockets from the Liberal government. Can the Minister of Finance tell the Lavallois that the Honourable Minister of Finance? I did not see the individual. I have an impression, but certainly no one can scream out in that way at question period. The question period belongs to those who ask a question and those who answer a question. Where were we? Who had risen? We're not starting again. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, First off, I'd like to thank my colleague. That's a serious question, complex question. I can inform him and the people of Laval that I contacted the mayor of Laval today, that I actually summoned the commissioner for the CRA so that we can work hand in hand to find a solution that is in the interest of the residents of Lavoie. I'd like to thank the journalist Thomas Gerbet from Radio-Canada who made this situation public. The revenue minister did nothing, should have gained inspiration for what was done in Quebec. In 2016, a minister of finance in Quebec said that to their government was an issue of fairness for citizens of Laval who were the main victims of this issue. Did the Minister of Finance speak with the Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Finance, who took the decision and not simply after reporting from Radio-Canada? Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, I thank my colleague for his question. Seriously speaking, it's a very complex matter, and I think he should act rigorously because the situation is far more complex than what he is presenting to this House today. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that I contacted the Mayor of Laval this morning myself. I contacted the CRA commissioner. As I was saying, we are focused on solutions. We will find a solution that is in the interest of the residents of Laval. Mirabel. The honourable member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, expropriations won't make the high-speed rail project a success, but social license may. Listen to Alto's CEO's response to concerned farmers. He confirms there will be expropriations, and he said, I hope it won't be the main tool. He hopes that expropriation will not be the main instrument used. Mr. Speaker, he confirms that Alto has the means to do this and that it will, if necessary. At this point, I'd say that looks like a threat. When can we expect respect for and real discussions with the people of the North Shore? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government is quite sensitive to what's happening in Mirabel, and we will, of course, be working with the mayor as well as other representatives, the UPA, farmers, my colleague, Minister of Transport, and others are working on this very file. At the same time, we know that the high-speed rail project is a good project, but like my colleague says...
I don't know one person who is demanding this rail project from Quebec to Ottawa or wherever it is. I don't know why they want it so badly, but whatever. I think when it comes to question period from now on, as soon as we hit the second round of Quebec stuff, I'm just gonna switch over to the Iran stuff. I don't want to listen to 5 questions over and over again.
And now?
Yeah, I guess the Liberals are just giving them whatever they want at this point. That's pretty much what that rail system is.
Bernie, good for them. Good for them. We're starting to see that happen. Now, I will tell you what, really at the start of this conflict, the first week or so, the first 4 or 5 days, we have seen the Iranian regime fire rockets and missiles and suicide drones at somewhere around 10 individual vessels. 10. So the Iranian regime, they have made an effort to keep this thing closed. They want it closed. In fact, they've even sunk 1 or 2 vessels. Action in Beirut. Frankly, I wish our cameraman here in Beirut would zoom out the camera. I want to see the skyline. I might try to find another Beirut live feed. Folks, we're also getting reports today. We're hearing from the IDF that Hezbollah in Beirut, Lebanon is going to get hit harder than ever before tonight. So we are on standby for that. And of course, also President Trump, on good authority that Hezbollah positions in Beirut are expected to face strikes today on a scale not seen since the start of the campaign. Oh, hello. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, dear. Thank you. If you can stand by with me, I'm going to try to find another Beirut live feed.
All right, so we got this one here. Here's when oil prices will come down. Fox News. Let's see the big prediction here.
So the price of crude oil jumping up to over $100 a barrel as Israel continues to hammer Iranian oil depots. But the White House is arguing that prices are being driven up by fear, not a lack of supply. Rich Edson is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Lawrence. Also, oil and gas prices are up as Iran is blocking a large percentage of global shipments to the Strait of Hormuz. But take a look at what gas prices are doing here in the United States. You're at about $3.47 a gallon now. That's up 50 cents from a week ago. A year ago, Americans were paying on average $3.09. Oil prices are at their highest level since 2022, following Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Now, here's the issue. Iran is effectively blocking the Strait of Hormuz. That's where about a fifth of the world's natural gas and crude oil transits. The administration says it is working to get tankers moving through the strait again soon. Iran has also struck oil infrastructure in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, pushing oil prices up further. President Trump posted, quote, short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think it differently, President Trump. Energy Secretary Chris Wright also contends these spikes will be short-lived.
Energy markets are massively well supplied right now. In fact, the run-up in prices has nothing to do with any shortage of barrels of oil or natural gas. It's just fear and perception, the unknown, that this could be some long, drawn-out crisis, but it won't be. This is a disruption on the way to a much better place to end a 47-year war against America.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is urging the administration to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's something Republicans criticized back in 2022 when President Biden did it after the invasion of Ukraine and just ahead of the 2022 midterms. Lawrence?
Yeah, we could really use those reserves. All right, thanks, Rich. Let's bring in the host of Making Money on Fox Business, Charles Payne. Let's put up the national average so people can see what they're paying at the pump. Compared to last week, it was $2.98. Today is at $3.47, and a year ago it was $3.09. So when will they see some relief at the pump?
I think the big move in oil will come when the strait is open. Rich alluded to the Strait of Hormuz, and I think that's a 1-2 punch. The administration is working on. Right now, this is about insurance, believe it or not. This is not about Iran controlling anything. This is about Lloyd's of London pulling insurance and 7 smaller insurance companies following their lead, which is, it's kind of crazy. But it opens the door for us to have insurance as a backstop and have we have two, we have the Ford, the Gerald Ford and the...
Well, looks like we have an update here. Hold on. Let's do a little rewind before we get any further.
We've been talking about this for days, and now we have yet another confirmation. I want to show you. Pull it up real quick. In Iran, they confirm Mojtaba Khamenei was injured in recent Israeli airstrikes. 2 days ago, I believe 2 days ago, the Israeli Air Force attempted to assassinate this guy. They attempted to drop a bomb on this guy about 2 days ago. And it seems like that airstrike was unsuccessful. He survived. He is injured. We don't know injured. How? In what way? Is it bad? Is it not really a big deal? I don't know. Is he in a coma? I don't know. He's injured. But also, following that airstrike, which he survived, then he was appointed or voted to be Supreme Leader. So airstrike, injured, then he became Supreme Leader, and now we don't know exactly. Did he lose a leg? I don't know. We keep hearing injured. We don't know how, though. Okay, I'm seeing people say that he lost a leg. Where did you hear that? I'm going to look into that. Let me look into that. I have not seen that anywhere. Mojtaba. Missing a leg. Where in the hell did you guys see that? I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet.
There's a lot of hearsay going around, a lot of fake news, as they say.
From a reasonably trustworthy source. I wouldn't bet my life on this, to be honest with you, but okay, I'll read it. Mojtaba Khamenei was reportedly injured. One of his legs has been amputated, and he may not even be aware that he is the supreme leader.
That makes no sense.
Once again, this is a report, allegedly.
The internet's just naming new supreme leaders. Nobody knows who's alive. Nobody knows what's actually going on over there. The internet is just making up things, I think, as we go. And then we get the odd truth from the administrations here and there, and maybe the mainstream media every once in a while, but not often. I literally think the internet's just making it up as we go. This is insane.
I'm looking to get this corroborated. I'm looking into this here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you always want to have as many charts on the plot as you can. I'm looking for more sources. President Trump confirms earlier this morning, after pressuring Prime Minister Albanese of Australia, that he's now saving the Iranian women's soccer team, which was in Australia. 5 already escaped IRGC officers, more joining them for asylum. A few decided to go back due to threats against their families in Iran. So okay, allegedly on top of the Iranian women's soccer team, football, as some people call it, 5 escaped IRGC officers have sought asylum. Remember, Trump offered them immunity. But a few have decided to go back to Iran because the Iranian regime was threatening their family. Which is, believable. I was checking Tusi. Tusi TV has some information, but I don't see anything from Tusi about this guy's leg. The source that I shared with you guys about him having his leg blown off or amputated was from and it was from an Israeli source. An Israeli source.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Time will tell. So I'm going to say, listen, we do not have the confirmation on that.
Look, man. The idea that he survived an airstrike and the only thing that happened to him was his leg got amputated. Come on now. Come on now. We need to like put 2 and 2 together on that one. I don't believe that one for a second.
With the ballistic missile. That's right, a second time. Erdogan in Turkey, he says, Iran's miscalculation in targeting us has caused deep wounds between the two countries. Deep wounds. Now, there's been a lot of speculation here for a while that maybe Turkey kind of likes Iran. Maybe they've got some type of slightly friendly relationship. We know that Turkey maybe is not so happy with Israel. That maybe they're kind of on Team Iran, low-key. But this is shocking because this is the Prime Minister of Turkey, Erdogan. He says, Iran's miscalculation in targeting Turkey has caused deep wounds between these two countries. He's not happy about it. He's not happy about it.
So the State Department giving an update on efforts to evacuate Americans from the Middle East. It says more than 36,000 have already returned to the U.S. More than half of those Americans did get help from the State Department. Also breaking this morning, the U.S. now raising its travel advisory to southeast Turkey. For more on this, we are joined by State Department spokesperson Tommy Pigott. Tommy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we heard it there, a little over 30,000 Americans have already made it back from the Middle East. Give us an update on your latest efforts. Do you guys have any ballpark number on the amount of Americans who have contacted you guys hoping to get out of the Middle East right now?
Well, look, what I can say is that over 36,000 Americans have returned to the United States from the Middle East since this began. And we've seen the State Department's 24/7 task force assist over 23,000 Americans. What I can also say is about over half of the Americans who have reached out for help that have then been contacted with U.S. departure options, U.S. government provided departure options, have turned down those departure options, either choosing to stay, another departure option. We're continuing and have surged resources to the region in order to assist Americans who want to come home from the Middle East get back home.
Approximately how many Americans do you think are still trying to get home? Do you put it like ballpark in the hundreds or in the thousands?
Well, again, what we're focused on is assisting those that have registered in order to get back home, and that's why registering is so important, to express that interest. That's also why we're continuing looking at different options here, including commercial options where available. Like I said, we see over half of Americans who have reached out for help, when contacted, then turned down that U.S. government-provided transportation option for another option or to stay in the region. So we're continuing and have surged resources, like I said. We're committed to bringing every single American home that wants to come home, home.
I want to give you a chance to respond to some criticism from Democrats. A group of 8 Democrat senators penned a letter to the State Department, which says in part, quote, "Simply put, abrupt decision-making and lack of planning by State Department leadership to ensure the safety and security of its own staff left our personnel and their families unnecessarily at risk. Days into the conflict, the department still appears caught off guard and lacks a clear, comprehensive plan to safeguard American personnel, their families, or other Americans in the region." Tommy, some of the biggest criticism has been, why did State wait until after hostilities broke out to really get this plan in motion? How do you respond to that?
Well, look, we have contingency plans that are in place and ready to be activated. We saw the immediate activation of this 24/7 task force in order to assist the American people. We're also constantly evaluating the security posture at our consulates and embassies around the world. I want to applaud all of the brave men and women who have been working overcoming security challenges in order to bring Americans home. The fact that we've...
All right, so I just wanted to play that mainly because of the travel advisory in Turkey. We got the skylines here over numerous places, mainly Israel. I don't know exactly if it's going to be a quiet day or night. I know yesterday was pretty crazy. When I first started the stream, things were kicking off.
I think we kind of don't know what is going on with the new Ayatollah, with the new supreme leader.
Agreed.
I think we're kind of in the dark on that, to be honest with you. We've got different reports. I don't know. Some stuff is confirmed. Other stuff is not confirmed. We're gonna have to wait and see. We haven't even seen any current pictures or videos or statements from him himself. All right, we're tuning in, folks. We've got ballistic missiles inbound.
Keep an eye out.
We got a report this morning saying that Trump is not happy that the new supreme leader is the new supreme leader. Seems like President Trump isn't a fan of this guy. Wino Red Alerts. You are going to hear the alerts any second now, I promise you. Probably in about 60 seconds, you're going to hear these alerts. You'll hear them. Is Matt Morris wearing pajama pants? Listen, it's Pajama Pants Monday. That's right. We do Formal Friday and Pajama Pants Monday. That's just the way that it is. Okay, folks, a little bit of a reminder here. About 45 minutes ago, keep in mind, we heard from the Iranian commander of the Aerospace Force that going forward, all of the IRGC's missiles, all of the missiles fired at Israel or wherever else, are going to have heavy payloads, 1 ton or more. So far, purportedly, they have not used any missile warheads weighing more than 1 ton. Now they're breaking out the heavy warheads, 1 ton plus. So this actually might be a little bit of a crossing of the Rubicon, so to speak, here, folks. We're going to see these alerts here any moment. Chopsticks.
I don't know if those were explosions in southern Lebanon there, or if it was a plane. I don't know. I saw a flash there.
Don't forget it.
Maybe it was lights on the ground. I don't know.
There it is. There it is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is North Israel. Right now, these alerts are actually... These are north of Haifa. North of Haifa. Show you the map here. Okay, pay attention now, folks. Pay attention. These are ballistic missile alerts. We are also getting, right now, confrontation line alerts, meaning Hezbollah is probably taking shots. Okay, folks, I'll tell you what, all of those red alerts have actually cleared up. All of those red alerts have cleared up, ladies and gentlemen. They were red and now they are blue. Now, that does not mean that this is necessarily... Oh, holy hell, North Israel, North Israel. Cam 10 and Cam 5, we just saw the same thing. Something was coming down. I think we... Oh, there's another one right there up in the sky. Something is up there. It's curious because the red alerts are done.
It's maybe almost like the red alerts aren't extremely accurate. Just saying.
We haven't heard anything yet. Okay. That is a confrontation line alert. Presumably Hezbollah is taking shots across the border. What we might start seeing here is whenever there's an Iranian ballistic missile launch and the missiles are inbound, Hezbollah kind of activating and firing some of their own rockets and taking shots along the border to just kind of overwhelm the Israelis. Just laying it on them, right? But I'll tell you what, once again, I don't want to speak too soon here, but once again, all of our red alerts, folks, have gone blue. The red alerts have gone blue. Red light district? No, red alerts, not red light district.
All right, that's going to do it for the 2 p.m. Eastern Time stream. I will be live again at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. Have a great rest of your day or night, everybody. Adios.
Qatar. The Qatari Prime Minister has just said that the ongoing Iranian attacks are undermining mediation efforts. It still seems like